Howdy, my name is Sasha. I am one of the senior Sims, and today we will be reviewing the Policies and Procedures Guide for Spring 2024. It is important to read through this document before training, as well as reference it throughout the semester. The SI Program Overview. SI is an academic support program like no other. It was created in 1973 at UMKC, and its goal is to increase retention and decrease dropout, fail, or Q-drop rates for high enrollment gateway courses. SI relies on collaborative learning techniques and implementation of new study tools to help students construct their own understanding of the course material and end the dependency cycle. We believe students receive all of the building blocks they need from their lecture, but often students need help with the sometimes messy construction of those building blocks. And that's where SI comes in. If the faculty member is the content expert, then an SI leader is the guide on the side. An SI leader is never there to reteach content or act as a TA. Instead, they act as a near peer and create activities/review materials to help students practice the most important and/or most difficult concepts in class. So the learning objectives, SI leaders will be able to, 1, think critically about course content and how they understand it, discuss course content in multiple ways to reach a variety of student needs, feel comfortable speaking in front of groups and facilitating activities, manage time effectively, balance school, SI, and other commitments, create learning objectives for SI sessions and plan activities to meet those objectives, connect better with fellow students through approachability and leadership, create mentoring relationships with faculty members on campus, and work as a team. So the behavioral expectations of an SI leader is timeliness. To be early is to be on time is to be late, and to be late is to be forgotten. You should be on time for everything, and that usually means 5 to 10 minutes early. If you know ahead of time that you'll be late to an SI commitment, please communicate that to the program coordinator, SI graduate intern, or your sim as soon as possible. You should maintain a professional attitude and relationship with your students, assigned faculty member, fellow SI leaders, and SI program staff. Professionalism involves making ethical decisions, asking for help when needed, being a team player, refraining from romantic or personal relationships with students, maintaining a positive and encouraging attitude, and appropriate dress. As a valuable team member of SI, I expect you to treat others as fellow valuable team members. This involves acceptance, tolerance, respect, and seeking to understand before seeking to be understood. We're a team, so let's support and help each other. The Aggie Honor Code is an Aggie does not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. Academic misconduct includes cheating, fabrication, falsification, multiple submissions, plagiarism, complicity, etc. At some point in your time as an SI leader, you'll likely be faced with a complicated dilemma. If a student is committing an act of academic misconduct or asking you to help them do so, please come talk to the SI program staff. It is expected that you stay in regular contact with your sim, SI graduate intern, and/or your program coordinator. You must respond to emails, texts, or Teams messages from ASC staff within 1 day of receipt. This policy does not apply to weekends. This means that you need to be monitoring your email and Teams daily. So per the International Supplemental Instruction Accreditation Standards, SI leaders must have a GPR of around a 3.0 or higher. So all SI leaders must maintain a cumulative GPR of a 3.0 or higher. If your cumulative GPR is between a 2.9 to a 2.999, you will have the option to continue on GPR probation, go inactive for a semester to raise your cumulative GPR, or to resign. If you continue employment for the next semester, you will be put on a GPR probation for 1 semester only. At the end of that semester, your cumulative GPR must be a 3.0 or higher to be removed from probation. If the cumulative GPR is still below a 3.0 for the second semester, you will not be invited to return as an SI leader at the end of probation period. If your cumulative GPR falls below a 2.75, you will not be invited to continue employment and will not be eligible for rehire in the future. So let's talk about the hours per week SI leaders are eligible to work up to 11 hours per week per the following. Class is up to 3 hours. You are expected to attend every class every week. Show up early, sit in the front, and talk to the students. If you are late or absent from work, be sure to deduct these hours from your timesheet. If your faculty member cancels class, you may use that time to work on SI materials during the canceled class times, such as reading the text, reviewing materials in Canvas, or using the time for additional session planning. If you are absent from work, or if your faculty member cancels class and you do not use the time to work on your SI-related duties, you may not claim the time on your timesheet. You must complete the emergency absent from work form. Sessions, up to 3 hours. You are expected to hold 3 hours of sessions every week. If you are late to your session, be sure to deduct those hours from your timesheet. If you are absent from work, fill out the appropriate absence from work form. If it's a non-emergency, the request to cancel your session must be made no longer than 2 weeks prior to your absence. Weekly meeting, up to 1 hour. You are expected to attend the 1-hour weekly meeting per week. These meetings are designed to help you grow and develop as an SI leader. If you are absent from work, fill out the appropriate absence from work form. If it's a non-emergency, the request to miss the weekly meeting must be made no later than 2 weeks prior to your absence. Session planning and administrative time is up to 4 hours. You have up to 4 hours per week for session planning administrative time, with the bulk of that time used for session planning. So for session planning, you have to complete a session plan for every week, every session each week. Turn the session plan on Trello no longer than 1 hour before each of your sessions each week, and create activities that encourage group collaboration and various learning strategies. Some administrative time components include meeting with faculty. This could involve a set of weekly or bi-weekly meetings, emailing your faculty, or even the informal walk and talk before or after class. Responding to any student questions by email, alerting the class to changes to the schedule via email or Canvas postings, promoting SI in the class through written announcements in Canvas, adding materials to your Google site, posting your session plans in Trello, and tracking and posting your hours by the due date in Workday. Out of the 168 hours in a week, we are asking you to schedule only 11 hours for SI-related duties that include sessions, class time, weekly meetings, session planning / administrative time that will be consistent from week to week. This leaves you with 157 hours to do everything else you need to do. At the beginning of the semester, you will provide us with your weekly work schedule that includes all of your SI duties. Again, we are asking you to set a weekly schedule and maintain that schedule throughout the semester. The number of hours per week should not exceed 11 hours per week, unless you have been given permission by a staff supervisor. It is your responsibility to keep track of your hours and report those hours correctly on your timesheet in Workday. It's important to keep in mind when you miss work. Typically, you cannot make up these hours. So who is your supervisor, the ASC or the faculty? So the ASC SI staff, senior SIMs, and SIMs are your supervisors. We determine your work hours, how you conduct your sessions, your schedule, etc. When you have an SI-related issue or concern, you are to bring it to the attention of your SIM and staff supervisor, not the faculty. See the organizational chart. The ASC manages the program, not the faculty. If you are struggling with session planning and not sure what activities might be good, reach out to your SIM or senior SIM, not the faculty. Keep in mind that SI sessions are about helping students build good study habits. It's not just about problem solving. While in class and interacting with faculty, we expect you to behave professionally as you represent the ASC and the SI program. The relationship an SI leader has with a faculty member is important and vital. We want you to introduce yourself to the faculty. We want you to update your faculty on what you're doing during your sessions and let them know if students are struggling with concepts or expressing concerns. Faculty do not manage the program and are not your supervisors. So, absent from work, session, class, and weekly meeting. For the SI program to succeed, we have a duty to run a program that serves students who expect and demand consistency, while at the same time being mindful that the program is being run by students who occasionally have an extenuating circumstance that necessitates being absent from work. This is especially critical when it comes to holding your sessions. Being absent from your SI sessions will impact our ability to receive funding for SI leader wages and to continue the program. Where in a session it's canceled, we lose important and valuable attendance data that is used to determine if the course will have an SI leader in the future and how much funding we can receive for the SI program. When an SI leader cancels sessions, it does not go unnoticed. Students provide feedback about the cancellations to faculty, ASC staff, and to other university administrators, including those who run the university. Most importantly, students count on you to hold your weekly sessions on the same day, at the same time each week. They are eager to learn, and when the session is canceled, the SI leader has taken that opportunity away from them. As such, canceling SI sessions should only occur for extraordinary reasons. You are required to attend all scheduled classes so that you have material for your session and attend your weekly SI meeting as we cover lots of important topics. There is a maximum number of absences allowed throughout the semester, whether the absence is for emergency or non-emergency. These absences are tied to the number of hours job duty takes during a given week. The table below shows the maximum number of hours you can be absent from work for the entire semester for each type of duty. So for a weekly meeting, you can be only the maximum hour that you can be absent from work for the semester, regardless for a reason, is about up to an hour. For sessions meeting 3 times per week, this is up to 3 hours. For sessions meeting 2 times per week, this is up to 2 hours. Classes meeting 3 times per week are up to 3 hours, and classes meeting 2 times per week are up to 2 hours. Most importantly, we can't support you if you don't know why you're absent from work. It's best to be honest and upfront about it. There are 2 types of absent from work with the notification and approval process outlined for each. So for a non-emergency, a request for a non-emergency absence from work must happen no later than 2 weeks prior to the absence. Approval for these non-emergency situations is not guaranteed. For example, being absent from a session or a class to attend a mandatory medical school interview is different from wanting to study for an exam. An extenuating circumstance is not something that happens on a weekly basis, such as club meetings, studying for your classes, or even going home for the weekend. An extenuating circumstance is typically that one-time event that is significant and cannot be rescheduled. Supervisors have to weigh the reason for your absence against the needs of the students attending your SI sessions. It's a balancing act. Additionally, since there is a maximum number of absences allowed for the semester, it is our recommendation that you save your absences for emergencies, just in case. Please email your staff person, whether that be Morgan, Naya, Jen, or Sila. Check the organizational chart linked in Teams if you're not certain who your staff person is. And you should detail the following: the date of the absence, the reason for this absence, indicate which work-related duties you will miss that day, indicate the number of hours you will miss that day. Once the request is received, your supervisor or another staff person will reply and approve or not approve the request. If the request is approved, please complete the non-emergency absent from work Google form. It is linked in the SI Resource Hub. If your absence involves multiple days in a row, you will need a separate form each day, as your daily hours may vary. A request for emergency absence, including COVID-19 from work, should be completed prior to the absence or as soon as possible after the absence. Typically, an emergency request is for your illness, death of a family member, COVID-19, or other true emergencies. Please email your staff person, whether that be Morgan, Naya, Jen, or Sila. Check the organizational chart in Teams if you're not certain, and complete the emergency absent from work form, Google form, detailing the following: date of absence, the reason for your emergency absence, indicate the work-related duties and number of hours you will miss that day. If your absence involves multiple days in a row, you will need a separate form each day, as your daily hours may vary. If your absence is approved, it's important that you get the information you may have missed, such as class notes or weekly meeting information. When you are absent from a session, you will need to notify the students in your class that your session is canceled. Post a notice in Canvas or on your Google site. Ask someone to post a notice on the board in the classroom. Okay, so what if a professor schedules a review/exam during my session time? If a faculty member schedules and hosts a review session or an in-person and online exam during your session time, you may do one of the following. You will need to send an email to ascpeereducation@tamu.edu and your staff member and include documentation from your faculty member stating the date, time of the review session or exam. This will not count as one of your absences if documentation has been provided. You may reschedule this SI session during the same payroll week. The session must be held on Zoom, and you must notify the class of the change. Note that you are not permitted to assist with that review or proctor that exam. You may attend, listen, and take notes during the review. Permanently rescheduling sessions. If you need to permanently reschedule your sessions for the remainder of the semester, talk to your supervisor. If you need to switch rooms due to a larger session attendance for a particular week, come talk to your supervisor. If rooms or buildings aren't available, forcing sessions to be moved, your supervisor will be responsible for getting you a new room. So, submitting payroll via Workday. Payroll is due bi-weekly on Thursdays by 10 p.m. via Workday, unless otherwise noted on the program calendar. You can access Workday by using SSSO and choosing it from the list of available websites and tools. Here is a step-by-step instruction for accessing/entering the payroll. First, you're going to visit sso.tamu.edu. You will log in with your UIN and password, or clicking the TamuNet ID icon to the right. You'll choose Workday, and on the Workday homepage, choose Time from the Applications section. Click the Choose Week and pick the week you are entering hours for. Enter your hours to the appropriate days and times for the week. Note, you should be able to round to the nearest quarter hour when tracking hours. Be sure to put the task you completed in the comments box. For example, you had an SI session, you went to class, you were session planning, or you had your sim meeting, etc. You may not exceed 11 hours per week unless you have received approval from your supervisor prior to completing the work. The time you log in Workday must accurately reflect what you worked on. Falsification of your timesheet in Workday may result in immediate termination. Click Submit Time. Unsubmitted hours will not be approved. If you are more than 10 minutes late to class, a session, or a weekly meeting, your hours in Workday must be adjusted to reflect actual time worked. You should update your Workday hours as you go. You can save hours in Workday until you're ready to submit. Only submit your Workday hours once for the pay period, or it can cause approval/pay issues. If you are having questions or concerns, feel free to contact SI program staff for help. TrainTrack. As part of your employment, you are expected to complete university-required online training through the TrainTrack system. You are expected to complete these prior to the due date noted on the training assignment. Note, submitting your TrainTrack is part of your job duties and obligations. Failure to submit your TrainTrack on time will result in disciplinary actions per the Progressive Performance Policy. So here's the payroll due dates calendar. The due dates are Thursdays, and it's due no later than 10 p.m. This table is also linked on the SI Resource Hub. If your payroll is not submitted by the required deadline, it may not be approved, and you will experience a 2-week delay in pay. If there are errors in your payroll that are not corrected, you may also experience a delay in pay. So make sure to set reminders on your calendar, planner, or phone about payroll due dates. Submitting your timesheet on time during each pay period is part of your job duties and obligations. Failure to submit your timesheet on time will result in disciplinary actions per the Progressive Performance Policy. Submitting session plans. All SI leaders are required to create and submit SI session plans for each session throughout the week. The session plan is due no later than 1 hour prior to your session. Session plans will be submitted via your Trello card on the SI Teams Drive. You must submit plans as a PDF. Some tips for successful session planners include if you're using a learning strategy, activity, practice problems, etc. from somewhere online, save yourself some time and copy and paste a link to the resource you're using. Add any extra written details as needed. Instead of creating a worksheet with all your questions/practice problems, make a PowerPoint or Google Slides. Many of your students won't print out a worksheet anyway, and it's hard for you to get copies made for everyone. A PowerPoint will save you lots of time on formatting. You can also easily post it to your Google site so students can practice the problems on your own. Have regular activities that you can revisit and use often, especially for warm-ups or cool-downs. It can be good to have routine practices in your sessions. It allows students to form good study habits and also lets them know what to expect from SI sessions. A completed session plan should be detailed enough that another SI leader could run your session in your place. The purpose of the session planner tool is to help you plan. The planning goes far beyond the content itself. How will you facilitate? How will students engage with one another? And what questions will you ask? Sometimes an activity doesn't work out how you've planned it, and this is okay. Use it as a learning moment to revisit or revise the activity/approach and try it again. Session planning is an art, not a science. There are many ways to get it right. You'll receive feedback on your session plans from your SI mentor weekly. They will leave you comments asking questions, providing suggestions, or with notes of encouragement. If your sim leaves a comment and asks a question, you must reply back on your Trello card. If you ever need help or want ideas in the planning process, please feel free to talk to your SI mentor, SI graduate intern, fellow SIs, or your staff supervisor. Failure to submit your session plans on time and not responding to session plan comments will result in disciplinary actions per the Progressive Performance Policy. Tracking attendance. Having complete and accurate session attendance data is vital to keeping our SI program running smoothly and long-term. With reliable data, we can show how SI benefits the students who attend and share that with students, faculty, and administrators alike, allowing for a successful program to continue. Below are the steps to track attendance via our online app. To log in and set up, visit the link that's posted here below, where you will be prompted to sign in with your NetID and password. I suggest bookmarking this website for easy access, but you can also find it on Teams and the SI Resource Hub with these exact instructions. Once logged in, you will see your name, the current semester, and your assigned course sections. Click View next to your assigned course. Then you will see a list of your past SI sessions, if applicable, and a link to add a new session. Click Add, and you will be prompted to choose the date of your SI session. Check the date to make sure you selected the correct date. Then choose your session format, in person or virtual, and your location, if it was in a classroom, a dorm, or online. Click Update right here below, then open Kiosk Check-in and you're ready for students to sign in. Students will check into the session by scanning the QR code, like the one shown above. QR codes can be scanned in a variety of ways, on a camera app, Snapchat, Instagram, or a QR code reader app. Once they've scanned the code, they'll be prompted to log in with their NetID and password. It may ask the students to dual authenticate the first time they sign in, but it should not do this every time they sign into a session. After successfully signing in, the student's attendance will be recorded. It will record the student's name, email, and UIN automatically. If, for some reason, a student cannot scan the QR code, there is a manual entry option right next to the QR code. I would limit the use of manual sign-in unless truly necessary to avoid errors when entering UINs. If you want to see how many students have signed into your SI session, simply hit the back button on your browser. You will be able to see all the attendees' names, as well as the total number of students who have signed in to the session so far. If you would like to see the attendance for all your SI sessions for the semester, send your supervisor an email so she can download a list for you. If a student cannot sign in for any reason, please have them write down their name, email, and UIN for you. After the session, email the info to your supervisor along with the session date the attendance is for. You can simply take a picture of the info if that's easier. If you accidentally create an SI session with the wrong date or type, you won't be able to delete it on your own. Just email your supervisor so we can delete it and don't count it as 0 attendance. If you're noticing errors in the data or glitches, let your supervisor know ASAP. If there is a functionality that this attendance tracker doesn't have that you like, let the supervisor know that as well. Since this program was created by A&M just for us, they can change, revise, and add features as needed. Session no-shows. Occasionally, you may have a session where no one shows up. Even if no one shows, you are expected to remain in the classroom or online for the duration of the session. You can use that time to plan, read, or work on other SI-related activities. You should not use this time to socialize with friends. Be sure to create an attendance record and log yourself in as an attendee, even when no one shows up. So, the progressive performance policy. You and the work you do with students is the most important part of the SI program. Without you, the SI program simply wouldn't exist. SI leaders are hired on a semester-to-semester basis. As a valued part of the ASA team, we follow a progressive performance policy that allows for employee discussion and growth. If you are not satisfactorily completing job duties and obligations as outlined in the SI contract and this policies and procedures document, you will be placed on the progressive performance plan following the steps outlined below. So the communication flow for the levels is level 1, you'll receive a gentle reminder email. Level 2, you'll get an email and a required coaching meeting with a staff person. Level 3 is probation. Level 4 is a written warning email and required meeting that is documented in your personal file. So the explanation of the levels, the following breaches of contract start on step 1 for level 1. Level 1 includes a session plan not turned in or turned in late, including not using the appropriate template or turning in the same session plan multiple times. Maybe you turned in required program paperwork late. You did not respond to, acknowledge, or implement comments from the SIM or senior SIM on session plans or observations. The session format changed without prior approval. You did not respond to staff emails or team messages within 24 hours if a response is required. You turned in your bi-weekly timesheet late. Your Google site remains incomplete, or you did not complete train track by the due date. The following breaches of contract start on step 2 for level 2. Missed pre-semester training without prior approval, or you did not make up training within the required time frame. Misstating the reasons for your absence, whether it is emergency or non-emergency. Late or missed weekly meetings without prior approval. Exceeding the number of absences without approval. Canceled session without prior approval or absent from work without permission. Did not take attendance at an SI session. Holding a session for longer than the normally scheduled length without prior staff approval. Submitting hours for a session, which violates the published SI program calendar without prior staff approval. And for the SIMs, not leaving feedback on SI leader session planners each week. And you will reach level 2 if you repeat level 1 breaches of contract of the same kind. Level 3 includes recording workday hours you did not work, and repeated level 1 and 2 breaches of contract of the same kind. Level 4 are again repeated breaches of contract of the same kind. The probation period starts at level 3. The SI leader may be rehired for a subsequent semester if they are on probation and have not progressed to level 4, which is the level in which a letter is placed in the personal file. However, the SI leader is still on probation during all subsequent semesters of employment and level 4 is reached, the SI leader will be terminated at the end of the semester, in which the second written warning is placed in their personnel file. If breaches of contract are particularly egregious, you will be terminated immediately. Example of these behaviors include, but are not limited to, sexual harassment, sharing confidential student information, use of violence or weapons of any kind against students, faculty, or fellow SI staff, breaking the Aggie Honor Code, or knowingly allowing an SI student to break the Aggie Honor Code. So this is the SI program calendar for spring 2024. This is also published on the SI Resource Hub. Pre-semester SI training for all leaders is January 11th through 12th, 2024. Zoom links will be due during training. First day of classes in the spring are January 16th. SI sessions begin for this semester, January 21st. And other important dates throughout the semester will be addressed as needed. For online SI, behavioral expectations. Information security, as you will be working primarily from home or on your own devices, it's important to be mindful of the security of student information. Do not keep unnecessary student info on your laptop, tablet, or phone, and make sure you have secure passwords for all your accounts, especially those affiliated with Texas A&M. Zoom conduct. As an SI leader, you are a role model for your students, so you should be modeling professional and engaged behavior online. It is expected that in Zoom calls, whether that be your course lecture, SI sessions, or SIT meetings, that you do have your camera on as the face of the SI program. Encourage your students to do the same, although it is not required. If you do not have access to a reliable camera or microphone, please reach out to your supervisor for assistance. Cancellations and absences online addendum. Technology issues. We understand that facilitating sessions online can mean last-minute technology problems that you couldn't have planned for, such as computer updates, Wi-Fi failures, Zoom errors, etc. If something like this comes up at the last minute, contact both your supervisor and your SIM immediately to let us know what is happening. The rescheduling and cancellation policy still holds for online SI sessions. It may seem convenient to just cancel or reschedule an online session without consulting staff, especially since you don't have a room availability to worry about. If we find that you are rescheduling or canceling sessions without informing the SI staff, you will be written up via the progressive performance policy, with consequences adding up to and including immediate dismissal. Signing in. Making sure everyone signs in online is actually much easier in person because you get to see the exact number of participants in your session. You can say something like, I see we have 45 participants, but only 40 sign in. Please sign in so that I can start. In an online format, there are a few ways to get students to sign in via your QR code. One, you share your screen with the QR code on it so everyone can scan it, or you can just copy and paste the QR code as an image and send it in the chat, or add the QR code as an image in the Google Doc or PowerPoint that you're going to be sharing with the group. If a student needs to sign in manually, ask them to email you or private message you their UIN. You can enter their info for them after the session. So COVID-19 protocol. All SI staff are required to follow the Texas A&M University COVID-19 protocol, including testing, taking any required train track training, completing the required reporting form, notifying your supervisor, and/or isolating. Information about requirements can be found on the university's COVID-19 dashboard. In the event of a personal COVID-19 illness or close contact which requires you to isolate, you must notify Linda Callan and Kathleen Speed. Since the ASC offers both SI and tutoring in specific courses each semester, it is considered a conflict of interest for an SI leader to provide services to pay for any course supported by the ASC. SI leaders are not permitted to solicit or provide either paid or unpaid services in the course for which you are currently an SI leader, other SI courses for the current semester, and/or courses supported by ASC tutoring. Additionally, you may not reproduce or sell any materials created for the SI program. If students in a course that is supported by SI approach you for extra help, Please refer them to their faculty and study hub where they can locate other non-campus resources for their course. Per the university rules, existing employees must inform their supervisor or appropriate university office within 24 hours of any criminal arrests, criminal charges, or criminal convictions, excluding misdemeanor traffic offenses punishable only by fine. If circumstances prevent this, employees should notify their supervisor as soon as the situation allows it and provide explanation for the delay. Employees should refer to University Rule 339914.m1 to determine the appropriate university office to notify. Last thing is resignations. When you resign, it takes a minimum of 6 to 12 weeks to replace you, depending on the time of the year. The sooner we know your plans, the sooner we can hire a replacement and move them through the very lengthy hiring process. Last-minute resignations are the most difficult for the program. It is unprofessional to provide last-minute notice unless it is truly an emergency or extenuating circumstance. When an SI leader resigns before or after pre-semester training, or within several weeks of the start of the semester, it causes a chain of events that can negatively impact the program, the faculty, and students enrolled in the class. It can potentially damage the reputation of the SI program as it strains the relationship we have with faculty and departments. More importantly, it hurts the students enrolled in classes who are counting on an SI to help them be successful if we can't replace you. If you resign too close to the start of the semester, the person replacing you may not be hired in time to complete pre-semester training, which is mandatory for all new SI leaders. More often than not, last-minute resignations happen when an SI leader changes their class schedule, causing a conflict with their SI class. Changes to your schedule that results in a conflict is not considered an extenuating circumstance. One of the perks about this position for returning leaders is that you get to register for classes early. This allows you to select courses that do not conflict with your SI class for the next semester. When we confirm next semester's placement, it is imperative that you are honest with us about any potential conflicts. If you know that you'll need to change your schedule after we placed you in your SI course, you will need to notify us of any potential changes/conflicts as soon as you have completed your pre-registration for the semester. It is better for you to be upfront with us about it, as this gives us time to make adjustments. It is better for the program for you to act professionally and resign if you have any doubts about your ability to fulfill the obligations and responsibilities of the position. Not returning to graduation due to graduation, taking another job, or just deciding not to continue. If you know that you will not return for the next semester, please provide notification via email by the following dates to the people listed below. For fall, no later than November 1st. For spring, no later than April 1st if you will not return next semester. Notification, send an email resigning your position to the following ASC staff: Linda, Naya, and Morgan. This was the SI Policies and Procedures Guide for spring 2024. Thank you.